All right, so in your tutorial notebook, the one that I've already given you a link to, I have added a fourth version on the different kinds of joins, which has already been covered in class, but we're going to explore how you are going to do this in code. I have two data frames over here. I have a customer's data frame in which you have four different customer entries and the attributes customer ID, name, and country. And then you have an orders data frame in which we again have three attributes: order ID, customer ID, and the amount against the given order. You will observe that customer ID is common across both of these data frames, but quickly we're going to capture one important difference. You have four unique customer IDs in the customer data frame, ordered 1 till 4. In the orders data frame, customer number 2 is repeated twice, customer number 4 is missing, and customer number 5 does not exist in the customers data frame. All right, so let's move on and look at different kinds of joins, and we will perform these on our two data frames. For those of you who have already taken database systems, you will find this fairly similar to what you have already studied, just that now we're doing it in pandas. You have four different kinds of joins. An inner join is done in such a manner that, well, of course, you merge two data frames on a single or multiple common attributes. So when you perform an inner join, only those rows are selected across both data frames for which the given attribute has existing values in both data frames. So essentially, only common IDs are selected, or common values of whatever attribute it is that you're using are selected. When you perform a left outer join, so in that case आपके left वाले data frame में से attribute की सारी values select होती हैं, all the rows will be selected. But from your right data frame, of course, the remaining rows are not selected, and left में से attribute की जो values ऐसी हैं जिनके against values do not exist in your right data frame, सो राइट डेटा फ्रेम के बाकी सब कॉलम्स में आपके पास नल आ जाता है. एंड अ राइट जॉइन pretty much works just the other way around. An outer join is like the union of left and right joins. But let's look at these through examples. So you have a pandas command pd.merge जिसमें you pass a data frame towards the left, then a data frame towards the right, then you select an attribute or a set of attributes जिनके ऊपर आपने merging operation करना है. So I'm doing this on customer ID because customer ID is common across both of my data frames essentially. And then you select the kind of merging operation or join that you want to do, in which case you can either write inner, left, right, or outer. So let's try running this command. I have four rows in my result and I have three unique customer IDs over here: 1, 2, and 3. And the reason that I only have three is because customers 1, 2, and 3 exist in both data frames. ये वो customers IDs हैं जो जिनके against you have rows in both of your data frames. So all of those rows are selected. The attribute that you are merging on the basis of is only repeated once, it's not repeated twice, and then all the other columns are selected across both data frames. So that is why our result looks like that. What if, although orders data frame के अंदर this was just called customer instead of customer IDs? So the question is, can I still merge on this attribute? And yes, you may still do that. Pandas allows you to do it. All you have to do is select left on, and similarly, we will select right on. So I know कि left के ऊपर my data frame is the customer data frame in which I have an attribute named customer ID. But in my orders data frame, I only have an attribute named customer. So this will essentially work exactly the same way. For now, we're gonna make our lives easier and just revert to what we were doing. Moving on, let's try a left outer join. The entire command is exactly the same except that now I have selected a left join as opposed to an inner join. And this is what the result contains. I have customer IDs 1, 2, 3, and 4. Customer ID 2K against, of course, I have two entries. So the thing is, customer ID 5 was not selected since I'm doing a left join and customer ID 5 exists only in my right data frame, so it was overlooked. Customer ID 4 was selected since I am doing a left outer join and customers ka data frame is on my left right now. Although the thing is कि customer ID 4 के against I don't have an order ID and I don't have an amount. So what happened was कि उनकी जगह null values आ गई. These fields are missing in my data set now in my merged data frame. So the question is, what do we expect when we do a right inner join, a right outer join then? In a right join, what will happen is the customer IDs 1, 2, 3, and 5 will be selected. 4 will be skipped since 4 doesn't exist in my orders data frame right now. And customer ID 5K against since I have no entries in the customer's data frame, so essentially, the customer name would be null and country would be null. But let's try to run this command. And essentially, it gives us exactly what we expected. Now, what exactly will happen when I do a full outer join? A full outer join will just return all the rows from both of my data frames. So essentially, it's like a union of a right outer join and a left outer join. It will just replace any missing values with NaN wherever I have them. So this is what I have. अब मेरे पास customer ID 4 की against भी entry है, in which case order key values are missing. And I have entries against customer ID 5, in which case the customer name and country, so basically customer data frame ke attributes are missing. On that note, moving on, you can also perform a join operation on multiple keys at once. Let me tell you how that works. So now I've updated my data frames essentially. Customers data frame ke andar I have the country, the customer name, and now I also have the city which I did not have pehle. And then orders data frame ke andar also I have added city ka attribute which wasn't already there. So now essentially I will try to merge on customer ID and city. So how does that work? अब मेरे keys के pairs बनेंगे. So I have 1 comma New York, I have 2 comma Toronto, I have 3 comma LA, and then I have 4 comma Vancouver. Essentially orders data frame के अंदर भी I have 1 comma New York, so ये वाली row actually merge हो जाएगी first वाली. And then I have 2 comma Toronto, 2 comma California. 2 comma California should technically be skipped when I do an inner join because 2 comma California does not exist in my customers data frame. Similarly, I have 3 comma LA which does exist in my customers data frame, and then I have 5 comma Chicago which is missing from my customers data frame. I would like you to pause over here and think about what the result of each join should look like. But I am going to continue. So essentially, the command is still exactly the same, but on ke andar I have actually passed a list of attributes on which I want to perform a merge operation. So this is what my result looks like. Essentially, now I have only three common rows in between them. 1 comma New York, 2 comma Toronto, and 3 comma LA. उसके अलावा मेरी rows match नहीं करती, so I have skipped all the other rows. You can experiment with this, try a left join, in which case this row will also be included, 4 comma Vancouver, but uske against order ID and amount would be null as expected. And I could try a right join as well, in which case 2 comma California and 5 comma Chicago are going to be there, but unke against customer name and country would be null. Essentially exactly as expected. All right, moving on to one last kind of join, which well, to be honest, you will not find much use for this very often. A cross join is just a simple Cartesian product of two data frames. So ये सारी rows के सारे combinations बना देता है. In this case, if I have 4 rows in my customer's data frame and 5 rows in my orders data frame, the 4 multiplied by 5 equals 20. I will have 20 combinations. So for instance, if it picks this row, so इस row के साथ ये turn by turn in 5 की 5 को merge करेगा. So I will have 20 rows in my resultant data frame. And how may you just specify cross? You don't have to specify on because you're not performing the join on any particular key. You're just combining the rows together. You're making as many combinations as you can. So you can see कि ये start 0 पे करता है and end 19 पे करता है. I have 20 rows over here. You will also notice that since customer ID is common between the given two data frames, so उसने एक के आगे automatically underscore x लगा दिया and दूसरे के आगे automatically underscore y. By default, this is just how pandas behaves whenever you have common attribute names across different data frames that you're merging on. Um, Lastly, you can also perform a join operation on an index. So I will show you that we are still working with these exact two data frames. And now what I'm doing is that I am setting the index to customer ID. Like we have seen, this is very much possible. So इसको हम ऊपर ही set कर देते हैं. And then let's see how our display changes. So essentially अब आपके पास customer ID चला गया है यहाँ पे. By the way, wherever it was non-unique, ये उसको I think उसने replace कर दिया. My bad. Let me just quickly try and run this again. Yeah, there we go. So we're gonna perform a join on the index. And like you can see, I have attempted to perform an inner join. What has changed over here is that I'm still using my pd.merge command. I'm still giving it a left data frame and a right data frame, and I'm still specifying the kind of join that I want to do. But now I select the left index as true and the right index as true, which essentially means कि index के अंदर जो common values हैं ये सिर्फ उनके ऊपर merging करता है. And then you can just as well try and run this for a left join or a right join as well. We're going to, oh, you can also do it for a complete outer join. We're going to move on towards a challenge which we will attempt right now. And then there's one challenge that I will leave up to you guys, but essentially I will add the solution to LMS. So you can check it out though. I have two tables over here. I'd rather just show you the two tables that I have over here. So आपके पास एक employees data frame है and then you have a unique employees data frame. Employees data frame के अंदर you have an ID against a name. Employee unique data frame में you have an ID against a unique ID. So essentially it means कि ID repeat हो सकती है multiple times. But आपके पास हर ID के against एक unique कोई employee की mapping given है. Oh, essentially, even ID is not repeated in your simple employees data frame. Anyway, when we do a merging operation, we can do it on ID and we can try and extract the unique employee IDs against the names of your given employees. And that's exactly what you need to do. Perform the correct join to get all employees and their unique IDs. So essentially, this is what we need to highlight. All employees need to be selected, which tells us कि employees data frame में से हमने सब कुछ select करना है. So you can pause over here and think about the kind of join that should work well in this scenario. You will be using a left outer join given that the employee's data frame is towards your left. This will ensure कि ये सारी rows included हैं. जिस row के against entry नहीं exist करती in the employee unique data frame, उसके against the unique ID will be null. So let's actually quickly write this code down over here. Let's call it our data frame, or rather, let's call it our merged data frame is equal to pd.merge. You add a data frame to your left and you add a data frame to your right. I will merge on ID, and the kind of operation that I want to do is a left outer join. Uske liye you just have to specify left. Essentially, this was exactly the result that I expected. Employee ID 3K against I had no entry in my employee unique data frame, which is why the unique ID against this is null. It is missing. Next, you are required to replace the null values in the unique ID column with well null. So I will pause over here. I would recommend you guys to pause over here and think of how you will solve this because we have covered this in data cleaning. I am going to add a simple solution over here. So I have my merged data frame. Merged data frame ke under my column is called unique ID. So I think I can do this using a simple lambda function with dot apply. So lambda value, and you are supposed to return null if the value is null. So null if, so इसके लिए you have a command pd.isNA which we've covered in, well, I think we've covered previously within this tutorial. So pd.isNA, and then I will pass my value. Else I will just return my value exactly the way that it is. Let's see if this works. Perfect. So this is essentially what we were looking for. आप इसके लिए separately भी function define कर सकते हैं. Clean merged IDs, suppose that's what I call it. And इसको एक certain value pass होगी. Let's call it X, let's call it val. We don't care if pd.isNA X is equal to true. So you will return null, else return X. And then I can just replace my lambda operation with exactly this. And that should work the same way. All right, now you have to select only the ID and unique ID columns. So ये तो essentially बहुत ही simple task है. I will just pass a list of all the columns that I want to select. Oh, this is merged DF. And this is exactly what I was looking for. So this is what your result should have looked like. There is a challenge for you at the end of this notebook, and I will leave this for you to try out on your own, but I will definitely have the solution updated on LMS. All right, that's going to be all.